Welcome back to the Williams, Elleby, Howard, and Easter YouTube channel. I'm Joel, and this is Jared. We're personal injury attorneys in Kennesaw, Georgia. Today we're going to talk about how to respond when you've been in a car wreck and the at-fault driver's insurance company calls you. We're going to go through some tips and tricks today, but also in the section below we're going to include some free resources, written resources that will be available to you if you just go down and check out the description. But a lot of times after you're in a car wreck, one of the first calls that you'll get after that wreck is a call from the insurance company from the person that caused the wreck, assuming you're not the person that caused the wreck. But if you weren't, the other person's insurance company is going to call you, and there's some things to keep in mind to protect yourself when that call comes. So you want to get us started, Jared?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, keep in mind that they're paying attention, if not recording, everything that you say. So be really careful about the colloquialisms that I think we all use when someone asks, hey, how are you doing? The general answer of most people is, oh, I'm fine, or you try to minimize what's going on, because I think most people don't want to come off as if they're complaining, but don't do that. That is, insurance companies are hoping to hear those things and to get you on the record saying you're fine, or that you don't need medical care, or things along those lines. So you want to be real careful and remind yourself that whatever you say, to take a cliche from TV, could be used against you. They are paying attention. They are hoping, for those things to look for ways to start trying to build a case for offering you something, or trying to get the case resolved for as quickly and as least amount of money as possible.
Yeah, I'd say the second thing to be careful of is when they ask you about whether you have any injuries, especially if it's real early after the wreck, the day of or the next day, even 2 or 3 days after. Be very careful if you are hurting, and don't try to get into too many specifics. I would just keep it very general at that point and say things like, yes, I was hurt, not better yet, I've been to the doctor, or I plan to go to the doctor. I'll have to get back with you on that, because when you're that soon after a wreck, when it hasn't been that long, you really don't know at that point how bad your injuries are, because there's several injuries like pinched nerves and herniated disc and things of that nature, or even tears and ligaments that may not become immediately apparent, and then you may be, wake up 5 days later one morning, and all of a sudden, like, you can't lift your arm above your shoulder, or your arm's numb, or something like that. And that's because some injuries can get progressively worse and be masked by that adrenaline rush right after a wreck. So just be patient with that part of it. We know that there's some things that have to be handled immediately, like property damage, because you need to get your car fixed, or you need to get a new car. You can handle that kind of stuff, but just give your bodily injuries time and be very general or vague with the insurance company when they call and ask about specific injuries.
Yeah, and I think a third thing to keep in mind too is when they start asking you about how the wreck happened, and be careful in the way you describe the wreck, and don't assume that just because there's a police report out there that the insurance company is going to read that police report and take it as the gospel for what occurred. They will sometimes, especially if it's a case where there might be a dispute as to who caused it, they're going to start asking you questions about how it happened, and you need to make sure that you stop and think and be very precise as to how you explain what happened in the wreck. I think we've all seen it many times where a police report says one thing, and the insurance company is very quick to dismiss that police report because supposedly their insured says it happened a different way. So you want to make sure that if they're asking you how it happened, and there's any chance that they could put some fault on you, that you're very precise in the way you answer it, and you're very clear in making your case as to why you weren't at fault, and don't try to just rely on a police report or just hope that the insurance company is going to do the right thing. Because if it's the at-fault insurance calling you, you can rest assured they're trying to find a way to either not pay you or pay you as little money as possible. And if you are kind of cavalier in the way you describe the accident as happening, or you assume that they just know some facts about it, then they're probably going to find a way to find you at fault, or maybe apportion some of the fault to you so that they don't have to pay the full claim.
Yeah, and another way that they try to protect themselves and minimize payouts to you, and this is a trick as old as time when it comes to insurance company adjusters, is that if they know you're injured, they may say something to you like, hey, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll pay you $2,000 right now, and then we'll cover your reasonable medical bills. That is a terrible idea to accept that, because number one, by accepting the $2,000 and then leaving it up to the insurance company to decide what's reasonable as far as medical care goes, is going to put you in a tight spot. Because if your doctor is saying you need a surgery, or you need injections, or you need something expensive to get better, and the insurance company unilaterally decides that that's unreasonable, well, guess what? They're not going to pay for it. And you've already locked yourself into being beholden to whatever they think is reasonable medical care. So don't ever fall for that trick. It's almost always better to get the care that you need first. And there's several ways you can go about doing that and getting to the right doctors. But get the care you need first. At a minimum, make sure you know what your treatment plan in the future is going to look like and what it's going to cost. Better yet, if you can swing it, make sure that you complete all the treatment you need before you ever start negotiating with the insurance company about what your injuries are, because they're playing the macro game. They're playing claims across the country and how to minimize payouts, and they know on a large scale that they can get half of the people that their insureds hurt to agree to a term like that they're going to save money in the long run, because they can unilaterally say, hey, guess what? That $50,000 shoulder surgery you need, yeah, we don't think that's reasonable. You should do physical therapy instead. We'll pay for that, but not what you really need.
And dovetailing off that as well, if you do reach a point where you think that, you're done, you're ready to settle your case, don't ever let the insurance company pay your bills. Never go down the I'll take $2,000 and you pay my medical bills up to a certain amount, because that's just a recipe for the adjusters finding some way to mess that up. They'll forget to pay, they'll pay the wrong person, you'll think it's handled, you'll think it's out of sight, out of mind, and then the next thing you know, 6 months later, you're turned over to collections and you're getting bills, and now you've settled the case, you can't hold the insurance company accountable anymore, and you're still trying to call an adjuster who's been reassigned or who knows what type of horror story, trying to get your bills paid, and it never works out. No matter what the insurance adjuster leads you to believe, you can demand, if that's the settlement you want, then just pay me the money, pay me the $2,000 plus whatever my medical bills are as one check, and you handle the bills yourself. Because I can promise you that more often than not, the insurance company will find a way to forget to pay something or not do something right, and then you'll be left holding the bill at the end of the day, because there's no way to hold them accountable, and it's your bill that is due.
Yep. Worst case scenario, you're getting sued by the hospital or the doctor's office for that bill, and then you're turning around and having to sue the insurance company to enforce the settlement agreement. And so you probably would have entered into that agreement to avoid a lawsuit, and now if you enter into it and that situation plays out, here you are in not a two-person lawsuit, but a three-person lawsuit, which is way more complicated, and the attorney that you have to hire for that is probably going to cost you a lot more than a personal injury attorney or a contingency fee attorney would cost you in the long run. Certainly would cost you more upfront money to begin with. So all of those things being said, those are just a few things that insurance adjusters will ask you when they call you immediately after a wreck. Generally, it's going to be a good idea to avoid recorded statements. Reach out to an attorney's office that handles personal injury early on. At least talk to them. Figure out what your options are. You may not want to hire that attorney, or you may not be ready to go that far yet, but at least have that conversation. Most injury attorneys like us will offer free consultations, and you can get that consultation and decide for yourself what's the best course of action for you and your personal situation. So reach out to an insurance company, or reach out to a lawyer first. Talk to them before you have an in-depth conversation with the insurance company adjuster, and you're going to be better off. At least you will be armed with information and knowledge that you might otherwise not have had before you start talking meat and potatoes with the insurance company. And you could also look at one of the other 300 YouTube videos we have on here talking about what to do after you're injured and what your options are, especially if you live in the state of Georgia. But you got any other tips or tricks we need to go over, Jared?
No, I think that covers it.
All right, well, thanks for spending time with us today. Hit that thumbs up button if this video has been helpful to you. Hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, we will see you next week. As personal injury lawyers, we love what we do, and we're happy to share the experience we've gained in personal injury law. To help our family, friends, and YouTube subscribers, we've shared over 300 personal injury videos covering various injury topics. So if you'd like to gain more knowledge that may help protect yourself or a loved one when you're on the roads or out in public, check out our channel or view our playlist of shorts for quick personal injury tips.